Hello and welcome to Last Bell Boxing. My name is Ray. I'm one of the panel members on the channel. And today I'm going to give you my current pound for pound top fighters in the world. I'm going to start at number 10 and work our way upwards. So first off, coming in at number 10 for me is P4P. An absolute power horse in the 175-pound division. WBC and IBF boss. He's undefeated for a reason. He's heavily avoided. Yes, he's had a few injury problems, which may have contributed to his lack of activity. But I firmly believe he beats Canelo, should Canelo step up. He's just too big, too strong, too powerful. And for me, he would clean up in the light heavyweight division. Number 9, Vasily Lomachenko. For some reason, he seems to have slipped out of people's pound-for-pound lists and more reputable networks, Ring Magazine, BoxRec, other big boxing outlets and platforms out there. But for me, his skill set's always been absolutely remarkable. How someone of his stature could dominate at lightweight until running into the far bigger Teofimo Lopez is beyond me. He's a two-time Olympic champion, don't forget. They don't give those out easy. His footwork's absolutely phenomenal. The angles he puts in the ring. He can box at mid-range, short to mid-range, short range, and long range. His head movement's second to none. He doesn't look as though he's lost any of those skills. And against that Attorney, when everyone was talking about his shoulder, he just showed that he's probably just as good as he ever was. Number 8 for me has to be Estrada. Those fights against Chocolatito just cemented his legacy for me. He's a great fighter and he's a great operator. I firmly believe that those fighters in the lower weight categories don't get the recognition they deserve. They don't get the money for it either. He's got all the inside skills you would want in a fighter. Sometimes it's nip and tuck between the two of them, but he is, if not the best inside fighter in boxing today. Number 7, quite controversial this one. I'm going to go for Tyson Fury. Now, a lot of people don't have heavyweights in their pound-for-pound list because traditionally, the whole point of a pound-for-pound list was not to put heavyweights in. But time's moved on since then, and I like to put heavyweights in, particularly if they've achieved something quite startling. Tyson Fury, whatever your opinions of him are, he did beat the man who beat the man. I'm talking about Vladimir Klitschko there. He absolutely dominated Klitschko. There's talk about did he avoid giving him a rematch or not. At the end of the day, Tyson Fury had his problems well documented. But Tyson Fury came back to absolutely demolish Deontay Wilder. And in my opinion, he should have won the first fight. I think Deontay Wilder's in for a big shock when he fights Tyson Fury a third time. And that, for me, is the only issue I can go against Tyson Fury. He hasn't defended his titles, but that'll soon change on July 24th. Number 6, Josh Taylor. Undisputed boss at 140. He's did it the hard way as well in such limited amount of fights. He's had a great amateur experience, great pedigree, but usually when somebody's undisputed, you're looking at least more than 25 fights. But nevertheless, Josh Taylor's beaten everyone he needed to be at 140. He won it the hard way, and he deserves it. I can't see anybody beating him at 140, however long he stays around at the weight. Number 5, Errol Spence. Errol Spence is an absolute phenom at 147 pounds. And this is where it gets a bit tricky for people. I think he's the best welterweight in the world right now. He's got a big challenge against Manny Pacquiao. I think he'd be too big, too strong for Manny Pacquiao. I think Manny Pacquiao may win the early rounds, but Spence's physicality will wear Manny Pacquiao down later on. Bear in mind, Pacquiao hasn't fought in 2 years. He's been off doing other things. He's beaten everybody he needed to be beat at 147. And I just think Spence's time's now. The only difference between him and Crawford is Crawford's achieved more within his career, which gives him higher status. But in terms of the welterweight division, he's beaten true, physically strong, big welterweights. And he's beaten them with ease, let's be honest. Number 4, Teofimo Lopez. The takeover. It was a great win against Lomachenko. People talk about Lomachenko's shoulder going, his injury. It didn't make a difference for me. He fought the perfect game plan to beat Lomachenko. Shades of Lomachenko struggling with Salido came to mind when I watched that fight. Lopez used every single physical advantage he had. He was outstanding in the first 7 rounds. Loma came back into the fight, but then Lopez figured him out, and he'd gone from there. People talk about his earlier fights and how he's susceptible to getting hit by the right hand in the example against Nakatani. But if you look at that fight closely, you'll see how he adjusted his footwork and his shoulder roll to minimize that impact and take that right hand away from Nakatani. He's a great thinker in the ring. He's got all the attributes. The only thing is, can he stay at lightweight any longer? Because he's absolutely huge. He'll beat Kambosos Jr. and then for me, he'll step up to 140 and let's see what he can do there. Out the lads at lightweight, he's the best. Number 3, Terence Crawford. You just heard me mention about Errol Spence and how Errol Spence is beating everybody he could and everybody in front of him at 147. He's not really. He may have had a couple of tricky fights down there, but he's beaten them all. Terence Crawford, he's been unified at lightweight. He's been unified at 140, and he could easily do the same at 147, depending on what Spence wants to do after the Pacquiao fight. I can't see that fight happening, Spence and Crawford. It's a shame. There's too many politics involved. Funny enough, I would favour Spence in that fight. But because of Terence Crawford's achievements, he comes in at number 3. He is a great fighter. People say he's vulnerable. He can be hit, and he can look vulnerable. But he's terrific on the inside. He can box on the outside. He can mix it up in either stance, orthodox southpaw. He's a real tricky operator. He seems to have power in both hands. The only thing for me is he hasn't fought the caliber of opponents at 147 as Errol Spence has. But having said that, he stopped everybody he's faced at welterweight. He just looks on phenomenal form. So Terence Crawford comes in at number 3. Number 2, Naoya Inoue. What a fighter he is. This guy has blown away world champions. How many people can say that? He's absolutely blown away world champions. The only time he ever got tested was against On Air. Having said that, he had his orbital bone broke in 2 places, seeing double vision as you would do for most of the fight, yet he still managed to win that fight against On Air. He looked absolutely class in doing so. Just saw him in his last fight as well. Again, I can't see anybody stopping this kid. I think he could probably go up one more weight because he's only about 5'5", so I can't see him going up through the weights as the likes of what Pacquiao did. But he's definitely somebody who's carried his power through the weights. His technique is brilliant. He's a counter puncher, but he can box off the. He can be aggressive and box on the front foot. He cuts off the ring beautifully. If you want to know how to cut off the ring, particularly when you're against a bigger opponent who's using the jab, watch Inoue. He's absolutely perfect. His power's tremendous. Number 1, it has to be him, Saul Alvarez. Great fighter. He's not ducked anybody. He's fought everybody he has to fight. You probably end up being the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. Maybe have another fight after that super middleweight, defend those titles against Jamal Charlo, and then look up to 175. This guy is absolutely phenomenal. His skill set's brilliant. His head movement, his footwork, the angles that he uses, his repertoire body shots. He's just brilliant. He really is. He makes it look so easy. He really makes the game of boxing, the sport of boxing, look as though it's a matter of inches. When you see some of those fights that he makes people miss and then he counters them with such effectiveness, he really is a genius. His ring IQ and effective aggression is brilliant. Even in the Kovalev fight, when for me he was losing that fight, but how he turned that around in 2 punches is just absolutely brilliant. You see, he did the same thing with Amir Khan. He was getting outboxed, but he just knew if he was patient, he'd get you in 1 or 2 shots, and that's what he is because his timing's so impeccable. So there you have it, guys. There's my top 10 pound for pound of current boxers today. There's loads that have been missed out. Let's see whether you agree or disagree. Please leave your comments below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty of interviews coming up with some well-esteemed guests in the sport of boxing. And also, don't forget to tune in to our live shows every Thursday night at 9 o'clock. See you then. Bye now.